When you first came on board, what was your sort of guiding vision for Warcraft? What did you want to do to it specifically?
Well, I think there's been a rough track record of movies based on video games. So for me as a challenge, I really wanted to try and find a way to make a great movie based on a video game. I was a fan of Warcraft for a very long time, so that was one opportunity. And I think the sheer spectacle of it was another opportunity. Is how could I open up the genre of fantasy, which up until this point has really been dominated, rightly so, by Peter Jackson's first Lord of the Rings trilogy.
When you were a player, were you Alliance? Were you Horde? What was your history?
I used to play another massively multiplayer online game called Ultima Online, and when I used to run a guild for it, bit of nerd. But when we moved from Ultima Online to World of Warcraft, basically the people who I played with all kind of split up into the two camps, and there was a bit of a Sophie's choice for me of having to decide which side I would end up on. I can't give you the answer, but my T-shirt's probably a little bit of a hint.
And I know that you sort of, when you were playing, you might have come up with a few ideas, just thinking maybe if I ever get to do a movie of this would be great. Did anything of those times when you were thinking about it roughly sort of make it into your final version?
Yeah, absolutely. Wherever I could, there's obviously lots of Easter eggs in the movie. But on a cinematic level, there was kind of opportunities, I think, to visually add little moments where they were callbacks to what you might have seen in the game. So there's a couple of interesting shots where they kind of either match moments from cinematics in the past of Warcraft games, or just very specific. There's something called an isometric camera position, which is how a lot of the old real-time strategy games were portrayed. So we do a shot like that in the movie. But then beyond the whole gaming side of things, sorry, I've just got running off on a tangent now, but Sergio Leone westerns were absolutely something that was very much in the forefront of my mind as to what I wanted this film to be. So there's a lot of inspiration from Once Upon a Time in America Once Upon a Time in the West, and trying to add spaghetti western elements to the movie.
And obviously there are sort of elements from other fantasy type movies, even some science fiction movies. I saw it last night, I detected a slight hint of maybe something like Empire Strikes Back, maybe leaving story threads dangling for the future.
Yeah, I mean, if we're very lucky and people enjoy this movie, we would love to do another one, and then another one after that. Certainly a trilogy. I feel like we have made a self-contained movie, but at the same time, there are definitely threads there that would allow us to go a little bit further with the story. There's actually a surprising amount of families in this movie, on the orc side and on the human side. And we set up some tensions and some dynamics with those families that lend themselves to going just a little bit further with the story.
So let me ask specifically about that. You made it a point to explore the orcs and sort of explore the humans as well, whereas previous versions hadn't so much lent towards the orcs. Yeah. Was that sort of a big thing for you, thinking about these people as a culture as opposed to just a horde of monsters attacking people?
I think the fact that I wanted to tell the orc story as well as the human story and treat them as heroes is probably what won me the job. When I became involved, obviously there was this stall that had happened with the film not moving forward, and I came in and pitched my version, and it was exactly that. Let's treat the orcs and the humans as with equal empathy, and that very much I think clicked with what Blizzard always saw their game as, and it makes total sense. When you play the game, you can play as humans or you can play as orcs. You can play as just about any race in the game, and I think that idea that no matter what side you're on, from your perspective, you're the hero. That's Warcraft.
And now this, I realise, might sound like asking you to choose among your cinematic children, but is there any character that you in particular identify with?
Sam Bell. Yes, absolutely. From Warcraft, it's Durotan. Durotan and his wife Draco, who was pregnant at the time, and my wife will be giving birth next month when the film comes. Well, my wife will be giving out when the movie comes out. So it's a crazy, strange synchronicity, but I love Durotan and Draka's relationship.
Obviously, being a huge fan of the game and a knowledgeable person about the game, did you take anything home from the set? I mean, you can admit it now. It's the studio generic. They won't kill you, probably.
Not as much as I would have liked.
Is there anything in specific that you were allowed to take home? You're the director. You're allowed to do these things.
There's certainly something I would like to take home, and you know what? It's not a spoiler, but it adds an unwanted spotlight to a part of the film until the film comes out. But there's certainly a very specific prop that I would love to get hold of.
So you haven't thought about fighting Rob for the Doomhammer if there is a real Doomhammer around?
He can have the Doomhammer. There's something else I'm after.
Obviously, this is a huge film, a lot of people on it, huge cast and crew. How did you sort of go about bonding with the cast? Because it's very important to have that relationship when you're working for such a long period.
It is, and it's interesting because it was totally unintentional, but there was an amusing self-segregation that went on in the cast between our orc cast and our human cast. I think it was just the nature of the work that they had to do. The orcs were all in the silver pajamas, and I think that added a lightness and a humor to their experience that maybe the humans wearing their armor and their costumes didn't have. So there was that separation between the two. But I think my job was so constant and so busy. It really was just about consistently and constantly letting the cast understand and see what the vision was for the final product. Understanding the characters, but also understanding the environments. Fortunately, we were able to build an awful lot of very large live-action sets. So for most of the time, the cast were really kind of felt like they were there.
So then, final question. I've heard behind the scenes that there was a fair amount of karaoke. Some people are very good singers. Who would you say is the champion of world of karaoke?
Gosh, I'm not sure I was ever up late enough. The thing about actors is that when the day's done, they get to go and relax and have fun. I don't. I have to get ready for the next day's shooting.